It's another day, another exciting day. So we are going to be diving directly into the learning unit. This is an opportunity for you to ask your questions, empower yourself, and move on. So we're looking forward to your questions. I'd like to welcome my UNISA colleagues as well. Colleagues, thank you so much. I look forward to a really fruitful discussion today. Patricia, thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Okay, so we've got Safura and Prof. Davids, and then Moti is also in the group with us, and then of course Denzel. So Denzel's just going to take us through the study material. Please write down your questions. As always, we have got the chat going, so you're welcome to add your questions there. And afterwards, of course, you're more than welcome to pose your questions. Unmute yourself and then explain your questions. But hopefully you're keeping up with us. That's a good sign. I know Denzel's seen lots of activity on the Mooc site. So Denzel, over to you, and we look forward to see what you have in store for us this week. Thanks, Denzel.
Thanks, Patricia. Very good afternoon, colleagues. Hope you all are well and safe and also rested after a weekend. Thank you for joining us today. And as Patricia said, we are actually in study unit 4. So we're making very good progress. I must actually apologize for those that have tried to get onto the Mooc site today. To be honest with you, the site has been giving us a bit of a problem, some of the challenges. We actually just got the site running up in the last 5 minutes. So I see that many of you, I think there were about 30 when I just published the study units. We managed to make it just in time for the session. And I must actually thank our ICT colleagues for that, because they actually pushed really hard so that we could actually have this up and running for our session today. And I think Morty can convey our gratitude to the ICT colleagues for really pushing with this so that we can get it up and running. But we're up and running, and that's good news. It's been a challenge, as I said, for the whole day, but by some magic of our ICT colleagues, we have our Mooc set up and running and ready for our session. So colleagues, this week we are doing study unit 4. And to track back, we've started with digital literacy. What is digital literacy? Then the week after, we did the internet and web browsers and a few other sessions. And now we are actually moving into a more critical space to talk about some of the productivity apps. So we've selected some of the productivity apps that we want to run with you. And these are basic apps that many of you work with in your daily space. So the idea here is that I know it's also some of you might already have the skills, but think of it as a refresher course for some of you who've been working with these apps for some time now. So you can think of this as a refresher course as part of what you're doing, right? So colleagues, as I said, we are here now. We are study unit 4. And if you look at our journey, we almost just passed the 50% mark. We got just three more units, study unit 5, study unit 6, then conclusion and the portfolio. So it says 3 more weeks, 3 more Saturday, 3 more Mondays, and then we will be ready to submit the assessment portfolio. So colleagues, the study unit that we've got today, the basic outcome is to demonstrate an understanding of basic productivity apps. So we're just looking at basic skills in productivity apps. And the skills and the apps that we've chosen specifically for you today is Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Notepad, Paint, and the last part on email. So you can see it's a really packed session. And I'm not going to overwhelm you because I know many of you will only get the content now, but I'd just like to run through some of the key elements that we'll focus on, so that when you're spending your time working through these units, through these subunits, you will have a more familiar idea of what we are discussing today. So let's just run through some of the key concepts. So in the study unit, we want to introduce you, as I said, to some basic productivity applications. We have chosen these apps, as I said, because we find them in common daily usage, and these are core digital literacy skills as we see them as part of daily life, whether you are in a office space, school space, or wherever you are. These are apps that we use on every day. So we will look at, as I said, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Notepad, Paint, email, and then the portfolio question. So to remember, colleagues, for those of you who have already started engaging with the Mooc site, these are the sub pages. So you simply click on a sub page and it opens up the sub page for you. You will note that the system is a bit slow. There are 2 nodes that are still being the colleagues are still working on. So once those 2 nodes are fully looked after, we would have a much faster site. So I'm hoping it opens up quickly for us. Okay. Yeah, it seems to be still a bit slow. So colleagues, what I'm going to do is move to backup. And this is why it's actually good to always have a backup with us so that we can make sure that we don't lose out. So I'm going to move to the PowerPoint screenshots that I took out earlier. So let's move to our backup. Okay, so as I said, we are looking at productivity apps. I touched that where we are. And the 5 apps that we are looking at. So let's start with Word. So as you click on Word, colleagues, you'll find that it opens up to a page like this. Right? So I'm going to show you how the Word page opens up. And hopefully by the time we finish up, some of the other pages will open up. So Word, basically what you look at, each of these sub pages are structured the same way. We have an introduction. And in the introduction, it's basically I provide you with a good introductory video on what is Microsoft Word, or what is it used for, what you can do with it, right? So the introduction is literally setting you up as giving you a visual representation of the different apps. So you'll find a similar kind of setup in all the different units that you are working with, right? And this video that I've chosen are short videos because it's very short videos so that you don't waste too much of time watching these videos. But remember, these are also videos that are embedded in the Mooc site, so it's still under the zero rated data system, so you don't get cost for it. This particular video, as you watch it, you will notice that it starts to unpack what Microsoft is. It starts to unpack some of the ribbons, the elements of the ribbons on the top, which I will go through with you as well. And then you will also note that in each of the sub pages, I give you a learning activity. It's just one learning activity that is embedded on the site itself. And what I ask you, for example, is in the comments tab, briefly discuss how would you use MS Word in your own teaching or classroom? Now, somebody asked an interesting question in the chat. Are these learning activities compulsory? The idea here, colleagues, is when we design these learning activities, it is to build you up towards a portfolio activity. So while it may not be compulsory and we don't give you marks for it as such, the idea is firstly is to build you up towards the knowledge that you need to in your portfolio question. And secondly, we encourage you to complete it because you'll find there's some interesting comments being posted by your fellow peers. And this allows us to further the pedagogy that we use where we talk about a community of participants. So you actually get to hear, to see what your other participants are posting on this, engage with them, as I mentioned before. So it's actually good to complete these activities. And these activities are no right or wrong answers. So it's actually just very quickly for you to respond to some of these open questions as part of this. And this also helps us, the team that is working behind this, to see how you are responding to some of this, how you're engaging with the content, but also to understand how you are contextualizing some of these digital literacy tools in your own space. So please, we encourage you to actually answer some of these questions. Then you'll find that what we did was, for easy navigation, we've actually then embedded a Word doc, a PDF document. So you can either download the PDF document from here, or on this particular Microsoft Word study unit, or you can simply scroll down and view the document in the tab below. So it allows for you to view the document directly inside the space, but also allows you to view the document as well. So this is a different approach that we're taking because we understand that these are, when we talk about the productivity apps, there are complex functions that we talk about. For example, click on the tools, click on the view, referencing, how to insert a comment, etc. And some of you would prefer to have that print out this document, so have it on a separate, say, or page while next to you while you're working. So we cater for that flexibility as part of this course design. So colleagues, as you see, this is the structure, and all the study units basically follow the same structure. So whether it's Notepad, whether it's Paint, whether it's email, you will follow the same structure as you worked on this particular side. Now let's see if we are okay, so let's see how far we can go with this site, if the site is up and running. Okay, so while the site gets back for us, let's start with Word. So colleagues, remember the Microsoft Word icon is the W icon. Some of you might find it on your computer as you engage with it. You'll find it under the Start menu. And the first thing that you need to know, I'm just going to run through some of the key elements, and you will find more greater detail in your actual notes itself. So if you look at the first one. When you open up your Microsoft Word, you've got blank document, to-do list, general notes, project, etc. These are what we call templates, right? And the fascinating thing about this is the advanced for Microsoft Word. I mean, if you're really looking at some good templates, you simply want to click more templates, and it opens up a variety of templates for you. And what I found is, like, for example, if I wanted to find a template on a brochure, I simply click on brochure search, and remember, it then finds some of the templates which are available for me on the internet. And this actually helps, especially for those that are doing some kind of classroom, whether it's for your classroom or for your school. These templates are actually quite nice. It's actually very user-friendly to use. With simply click on a certain icon, insert your text. So these templates are quite nice. And what I've realized is that Microsoft has a variety of these templates that are very easily adaptable. So you simply search on a word, and it gives you these free templates that you can then use. Now, remember, colleagues, that these are, even if you're not using a specific MS Word product, or if you're using something, Pages, for example, on Apple, or you're using the Open Docs, for example, there are similar principles to Word that applies across all these. So if you actually know these skills, you can apply these skills in any of these word processing documents, because you find there's some similarity across all these word processing documents. Okay, so let's go back. I want to just apply a blank document for now. And as you read your text, you'll find that these are the most important elements that you need to know, right? So these are your tabs on the top and your ribbons, which allows you to, if your ribbon is edged, you can actually open it up or unhide it. And then this is your page view. And for those that didn't know, in the bottom here is where you can increase your size, zoom in, zoom out. And then you've got your simple features of file. You remember the open, new, save as, where you want to save it. But I think what for us is more critical, the type of functions that allows you, for example, your type of fonts that you can use. And what you've also noticed is that if you don't have some of the fonts, you can actually Google up some of these fonts and install it as well. For example, Delago DT is one of our standard UNISA fonts, but it doesn't come standard in the MS Word. So we actually insert this as part of, especially when we're doing our corporate marketing as well. So this is standard font. Then your size, colleagues, and this allows you to increase your size. And then your traditional bold, italics, underline text, a very simple interface as a text editing box, right? So remember, I'll demonstrate some of these elements to you, but remember, as part of the assignment, that a portfolio question, you will have to do some of the stuff on yourself and show us how you're actually doing this, and we will grade you on part of this. So if I want to change the text, I simply select the text that I want, increase the size on it, and this allows for me now to centralize the heading. So if you look on it, this allows align left, center, around line right, and justification, justify. Now, remember, this is a very important one, because in your portfolio question, I ask you to write a paragraph where you justify your text, right? So that's very important. So if we want to put it in the center, we simply put center, and I can write, change my standard font size back to normal, and I can simply say, this is a test document full stop. And remember, this is now your page size, right? So this allows me to change my page size, my line spacing, 1.15, 1.5, 2.0, however I want to adjust it. Then this allows me to put it in bullets, your numbering system. And remember, if you want to change your bullet patterns, you can actually change it to whatever you feel more comfortable on, right? And then this is your indent. So for example, if I want to indent that back into the center, I can bring that back into the side. Then we also, some of you also use tables, right? So if I wanted to insert a table, for example, how would I insert a table? So I go to insert, and you'll find there's table, right? So I can insert a table by simply clicking on table, and this is quite simple. So it says one block, one row. It shows you two. You divide in the columns. So this is the columns, right? So as you move along this line, it's the columns. As you move down, it gives you the rows. Now, this is also important because you'll find that in one of your learning in MS Word portfolio activity, you are asked to create a table and insert some text in it. We're trying to test your competency on how good you are as part of this, right? And then it's insert pictures. Pictures you can insert from device. You can insert from stock images. Now remember, stock images is a paid premium content repository. So, and then you can also insert from online pictures. Now, for those colleagues that are that are really into some graphics and some want to make your documents quite nice, remember the issue of copyright. So that's always a critical issue of copyright. And no, this is one of our biggest challenges at UNISA as well, is when creating courses, copyright images that we use in our documents, in our study material. So here's a quick tip for you as part of this. Pixabay, https pixabay.com, has one of the largest repositories that are royalty free. So for example, if I want to set something on school, I can set something on school, scroll down, and these are all images that I can literally download, right? And it allows me to download it onto my device, onto my system, and use it for free, right? And here's a quick tip for you, and I found this was quite interesting. If you right click, you can simply copy the image, go back to your Word document, and you can simply paste the image as part of it where you've taken it from, right? So this is where specifically if you want the URL from where your images are, and in many cases, some of the important parts here is referencing your images, referencing your text, but more specifically where you are putting your images from. And this is actually a good, specifically if you're using royalty-free images, as I said here, they ask you to actually reference some of your images as part of this. So you can use the images for free, but referencing is very, very important, right? So this is quite an important site for you, specifically those of you that are in the school and you've got a lot of study materials that you're preparing. It's a really good resource that you can use. And as I said, there are others that you can actually pay for, but this, what I found is quite interesting. It actually allows you to load different resolutions, different sizes, and it's actually quite nice. And we actually use some of this in our study materials as well on our UNISA Open Learning platform as well. So let's get back to our document. Then we also look at design. You can use title, different types of design, colors that you can use, fonts, as we mentioned before. Then you also use layout, and layout specifically for your margin size, your orientation, if you want to change the paper size, remember portrait, landscape. And then your size also depends on how you're actually working. This also is very important when you are printing, right? So that you know what size papers that you're using. And columns, and then references, colleagues, this is quite important. So for example, if I'm typing an academic document and I want to insert a footnote, I simply click on insert footnote, and it allows me to insert a footnote at the bottom of my docs. Then review is something that is quite nice as well. So if, for example, you are reviewing a document, now all this stuff that I'm showing you, I'm going through a little bit fast, but remember, it's on the document that's on the site that you can actually download and use for yourself. So document, now, if I want to write a comment or put a comment, I simply can select the word, click on new comment, and I can type a comment on this specific word, right? So this allows you to review documents as part of it. You find that if many of you are furthering your studying, that many academics use this when you're posting your assignments, or if your thesis or dissertation, this is the way we review as well. So this allows you to review your comments as part of this. And then view helps you to look at the different types of view. And some of the interesting features of Word specifically is, for example, the focus, which cuts out. If you look at focus, it really cuts out some of the elements and allows you, right, to focus immediately on the document itself without the extra elements. And then your zoom, one page, multiple page, width, etc. And then Immersive Reader is also quite nice because it then allows the system to read your document for you. And I found that this was quite interesting because if you have a very lengthy document that you are using and writing an article, for example, writing a summary of a document or study guide, you can allow the system to read that document. But this also depends on the version of Word that you have. So if you've got a very old version, you might not have some of these recent features as part of it. So colleagues, this gives you a good idea of what MS Word document is about. And as I said before, that these are similar elements that you would find in any Word texting document, that you would use your standard features in any documents. Even if you're using Open Docs, you will find a similar feature that will enable you to use Open Docs. Then Excel spreadsheet. So colleagues, Excel spreadsheet is the next thing that I want to show you. I just want to open up a spreadsheet quickly. So this is a spreadsheet, and spreadsheets are used for a lot of different elements. Some are used for capturing student registration, students' data, budgets, etc. And here, similar to Excel, similar to Word, as I mentioned before, you have a variety of templates, right? And these templates, from monthly budget to money in Excel example. So these are even creating a calendar and inputting some of these things onto it. So these are some interesting elements that can allow you. Now, what I find very interesting is some of the more advanced ones, like for example, the Gantt project planner, tracking your project plans, etc. So these tools are really, really interesting, and many people are now also using Excel to show the data more creatively. So for example, you may have charts that you're going to use or graphs that you're going to use and show those kind of elements as part of it. So this is a very creative way of also using. But I must also say that there's a level of skill that is required as part of this. The different levels of Excel that is used. So it's a level of skill that is also required as part of this. So similar to your work interface that you will find the tabs on the top, inserting for image, tables, etc., maps, and some of these links back to the internet. So you can draw your sources directly from there. Page layout, formulas, for example, how you formulate a cell. And remember, each one of this is what we call a cell. So for example, if I had to tell you C3, cell C3, it means cell C going down and 3 across. So this will be then cell D6. So this is how you will know what cell as part of it, right? And these are what we call a sheet. So you may have more than one sheet in an Excel book. So for example, you can create another sheet, and you can also name those sheets whatever you want to. So for example, I can rename that test document 2. So this allows you that flexibility of specifically that. Now, if you get onto the Mooc site, you'll find an introductory video to this, and then you'll also scroll down and you'll find a table of contents which tells you what is Excel, why should educators learn Excel, why should kids learn Excel, getting started. It shows you about the files, home, insert, page layout, formulas, data, etc., renaming a worksheet, inserting a worksheet. So these are some of the common elements that you'll find as part of Excel spreadsheets. And it's quite, as I said, this is a skill, and it actually becomes quite advantageous for you when you are really thinking of those creative ways of displaying some of your content. So the third thing that we look at, colleagues, which is the PowerPoint. Now, Microsoft PowerPoint, and many of you are familiar with PowerPoint as part of your presentations. If you started with presentations, if you're familiar with presentations, use it as part of your classroom. This is actually an excellent technique to use. And I found that it can be very daunting if you have a lot of text, firstly, in one slide. And this is not meant to write for example, write paragraphs as part of how you write in a Word document. A lot of people actually misuse these types of PowerPoint presentations. PowerPoint presentation, if you really want to create a good PowerPoint presentation, it is to capture the image of your audience, capture the image of your students, right? And this means that you capture their attention. You use images, you use charts, you use graphs, and your text needs to be refined. So for example, if you're writing a text, write in points system, write in a few words, as opposed to long paragraphs. And I've seen many people make that mistakes with using making it very dense in a slide, and that becomes a challenge for people to follow. So here as well, colleagues, so for example, if you want to blank presentation, which we'll use now, or you can simply look for one of these templates, and there's some interesting templates, as you can see, that are available for you to use depending on your taste of what you like. Some are quite nice, right? So if you look at a blank presentation that I want to create, so if you go to study unit 4 in your Mooc site, you'll find that we start off with an introduction video. One of the learning activities, similar to all units, how will you integrate PowerPoint in your classroom? And then the table of contents for the document that you can download is how to set up a PowerPoint, how to design the PowerPoint, insert new slides, how to play the PowerPoint. And this has become a very critical skill. I've actually seen many people at UNISA even struggle with this type of skill, specifically when we come to meetings and they struggle with MS Teams, right? So this is a blank slide. And if I want to insert a new slide, I simply go to new slide, scroll down, and you'll find it allows me some basic templates that I can use. For example, title and content, to content, comparison, content with caption, etc. Right? And if I want to simply put in a title, I link this as my plain one. I can link the title. Then I can put a subtitle, maybe today's date, 15-11-2021 as a subtitle. And here, similar to your Word document, you find your text editing colleague. So you use your same text editing features. So you can change your fonts on the top. You can change your site, and remember, you can change bold, italics, underline, etc. as part of it. Your coloring. So this is also quite important. Another interesting feature, colleagues, is when you're using presentation, is also to think about, and this is something that I learned when we engaged with our unit at our disability unit at the university, is always to think of some of the people who may be watching your presentations who are colorblind. So always think of the colors that you use, because some people who are colorblind may not be able to use, see, for example, the green that you use or the yellow that you use. So think, for example, those colors that are adaptable across, so for everybody that can actually use it. Then you simply create a slide, a sub slide. I want to create a blank slide. And then you can insert shapes, shapes that you want. For example, the shape that you want, you can change the color of the shape on the right hand side. You can also fill to different, which allows you to fill to no color, meaning that you only you have the outline but not the color itself. Then you can also change this to more colors. If this template doesn't have your color, you simply click on more colors, and it allows you a variety of colors to choose from now. So for example, I can refine this to a type of blue. And if it doesn't give me that exact blue, I can even go further, or I can choose a custom, and I can choose the type of blue that I want. Now, if you look on your right-hand side, you'll find that the grading of this color, it changes as I go up. It's lighter and darker. So you really have a lot of varieties in terms of how you want to choose your graphics, how you want to merge your colors, etc. Then, colleagues, typically the recording, you can record your presentations, you can animate. Animation is to put it how you want your slide to come in, and then transitions is about how you transition from one slide to the other slide. So for example, I want to transition from this slide to the next slide, I want to push it up. Okay, I want to transition from that slide to the next slide, I want to split. Okay, or the image there. So you can see that this is how it actually allows you. Then you can actually insert sound. And you can, if you are a person that prefers for your slides to work automatically, you can set a timer of your slides. So if you've got a 20-minute presentation and you only have 20 minutes to do this presentation, you can actually create 10 slides with each slide working at 2 minutes per slide. Then you know by the time you reach the last slide, you've got literally your time is up. Right, so that's how you actually can use to time your presentation, specifically when you're doing those papers that are very rigid in terms of time. At the moment, you'll see it's only available on mouse click. So when I click the mouse, it transitions to the next slide. So if you want to now view your slide, this is very important. Slideshow, and you simply go to, you can play from the beginning or from current slides. If you want to go play from the beginning slide, that's my beginning slide, and that's my next slide. So you can see the transitions that work as part of this. So this is actually quite a nice tool, and I also found that a lot of young children actually love PowerPoint. My daughter, who is 9 years old, she simply loves to use this as part of a learning tool. So it's actually quite a nice way to actually keep your attention of your students as well in your class. So colleagues, this is an important one, because as part of your portfolio, I asked you to create a slideshow. Now remember, you would then work with your slideshow and insert an image similar to the same processes that you will use in your Word document, but everything that you need for this activity is actually part of the PowerPoint tab that you've got. So let's move on to the next one. So colleagues, the next one that we want to look at is what we call Notepad. So Notepad is an important one because it is used for coding and specifically coding. So many of my colleagues who are here from the coding section will be able to give you much more better advice on how Notepad actually works. And maybe in our run-up session, I'm doing the Q&A session, probably Patricia can run a slide coding 1 line or 2 lines, 3 lines of coding for you to see how this actually works on, if she's got it on her system. So Notepad, colleagues, the first video that you open up, you will find I've downloaded a video for you that you can view. If you don't have Notepad, it actually shows you how to search in Google, find Notepad, how to install it on your system, right? And then how to actually use it. And the presenter actually does 1 or 2, 3 lines of codes that you can actually see how it actually works on the different platforms. So here, simply look at the video and then discuss what you can use Notepad for, because it's quite advanced. It actually shows you how the different programs work and integrate into Notepad. And as you look at the document, it then shows you why use Notepad, the different types of files that you can and then define the icons and the menu bar, etc., as part of this. So if you look at this, this is literally what Notepad looks like. Very plain text, simple, but these are your icons at the top of it, which are quite critical in terms of seeing how Notepad is operates, the features of Notepad, some of the core functions that you will integrate as part of Notepad, and some of the and how some of these works. It also, as if you're looking at for help on Notepad, there are actually some great resources that you can actually use to show how Notepad works in terms of basic functions of it as well. Okay, so colleagues, just remember, if you don't have this, just watch the first video and it shows you how to actually find and install it on your computer. And I think this is actually quite good that you actually do this as part of this course, because I think once we move into the coding and robotics, the colleagues will take it for granted that this is already installed for you on your system, and with that assumption work on the basis of maybe navigating towards this as well. So this is a good tool for you to actually start. If you don't already have it on your system, it's install it on your system now. Then the next one, colleagues, that we will use is Paint, and Paint is actually a great tool for clip art, for editing. And what I often use it for is to simply, if I want to get a graphic, I can use a graphic as part of this and edit that graphic as part of this, as long as the graphic is open for editing. Introduction video shows you on how to use Paint, what are some of the basic features, very basic features, and then you've got a document which shows you what is Microsoft Paint, why use Microsoft Paint, and some activities that you can use. So, for example, if you go to the Microsoft to the Paint, and it shows you this is basically what we call your canvas, right? The different brushes that you can use to paint, the different colors. So you simply click on a color and you can use Paint. This is actually a very good technique for those that are training up your students in your class on how to use a mouse. This was actually the first way the easiest way to actually start using a mouse, because it actually gives you good control of the mouse itself. Inserting images, inserting what we call shapes, selecting your shapes, and then also to fill the objects. You can fill the object using a specific color that you want. And for those of you that didn't know, this is what we call a color picker. So if you have a specific graphic and you want to match that color directly to that color of the graphic, simply go to that graphic point that you want to match it, click on it, and it opens up that color. As you see, it matches the colors. It's really a match technique for it as part of that, right? Make a mistake and you simply click on undo and it undoes the mistake. And then you can, some of you may also be familiar with the 3D Paint that also allows you to create 3D graphics, as create the images as well as part of this. So this is a good tool specifically for those that want to create images, get to use a mouse, get to use a pen, stable control. But as I said, what I found what was quite interesting is the way that you can actually use it to create graphics. And if I want to insert a text, simply click on the text box and you can type in a text document as part of this. So this is a very good tool, as I said, for those that, especially when you're thinking of your classes, grade R, grade 1, to start using and being creative and innovative with basic digital literacy skills as part of this technique. So colleagues, these are what we call your basic apps that you would have went through. And then the last one, colleagues, is what is an email. And what I touch basically here as part of this is to look at the foundational elements of what email is and how you can use an email, what is it used for, but more specifically, some introductory preliminary how you go about setting an email, what you use it for, some of the basic. So it really looks at some of the basic functions of Gmail, etc., that you can use. And I mean, the kind of principles that apply to send a document, compose a document are similar, whether it's Gmail, whether you're still using Yahoo or Hotmail. Those are similar features that you will use. So this part is basically to provide you with a very introduction phase to what email is, how you send the text, write the text in the space, etc. So those are preliminary points that allows you to see what an email is, specifically for your students as an introductory point of view. So this, for those of you that will eventually use this as part of your classroom, I think this makes really great site for you to tap into, instead of recreating some of your resources, to tap into and then allow your students to engage with the content that is actually directly on the site. Then as part of your portfolio question. So in conclusion, here, you remember, colleagues, as I mentioned, these are general everyday apps. If you already know some of this stuff and you say this is quite easy for you, yes, it's fine, but use this as a refresher opportunity to engage the space, work through some of it, and you'll find there's some nice snippets of good techniques. For example, your Control X, Control V, and some of your other control commands that you can use to better or faster your work with some of these apps. So in your portfolio assessment, remember I told you at the outset, what we want to do is actually test your competencies. We also test your knowledge and how you apply your knowledge, how you apply the knowledge that you just gained. So we want to see that you can actually do the stuff in the digital literacy space. So for this one, I've only we've taken 2 of the apps, and we want to test you on 2 of the apps, right? So we've covered a variety of them, but I only want to test you on 2 of the apps. So what we ask you to do here is to complete these 2 questions. So for example, remember your portfolio questions, you don't submit now, you submit it with your portfolio at the end of the course, right? And in this case, the first question, what we'd like you to do is for 50 marks. And remember, for those that ask a question of rubric, we will provide you with a rubric towards the end of this course. So for this assessment, we want you to do the following on a Word document. Type your name in a font, color, and size of your choice. Place it at the center of the page, similar to what I just showed you. Insert an image of yourself. Now, if you've got an image of yourself on a computer, you can insert an image of yourself, and then insert a table, 3 columns, 2 rows with the following. In the first row, first column, my favorite book. Second column, my favorite movie. Third column, my favorite music. And then answer the question in each of the columns. So your top column will be the questions. The second row will be your answer to those questions, right? Then we want you to find a short paragraph in any book, right? Any book that's of interest of yours. So we simply want you to find a short paragraph. Now, but you may ask me, but why didn't I give you the paragraph? The reason why I didn't give you the paragraph, because we actually want to test your skills in typing on this on a Word document and centralizing and justifying it. If I gave you a paragraph, you could have simply copied the paragraph and pasted it, and we wouldn't be able to assess it. So in this way, we want you to really find a book, type the paragraph on your own from a hard copy book onto the screen, so that you can actually assess that whether you can type it out exactly as it is. Remember, this is important. Double line spacing, justified text, right? And then save the file. Remember, we also want to see that you are able to save the file. So we want you to save the file under your name, right? So your name, not name, save it under your name. So whatever your name is, save it under your name, and then dash or underscore and question 4.1. So when you are submitting your portfolio, you will then submit this file as part of your evidence. So that means when we are assessing you, we will be able to assess that you've done everything inside question 4.1, but we'll also be able to assess that you can save a file and submit the file, right? Question 4.2, MS PowerPoint for 50 marks. And here we all simply want you to create a small PowerPoint presentation using 3 slides. In slide 1, we want you to insert a photo of yourself, type your name, surname, school, and province. Right? You can choose different fonts, different colors, designs, backgrounds, whatever you want, you choose that as part of it. We want to see that you integrate that. In slide 2, we want you to tell us something interesting about yourself and insert an image that best characterizes you. So whatever image that you think that best characterizes you, find that image and insert that image on that slide and then tell us something about yourself. So remember that image must obviously be integrated in what you're telling us about yourself. So you cannot be telling us something about yourself and the image has nothing to do about what you're saying. So it must be aligned to what you're saying. And slide 3, tell us something about the subject you teach, coordinate in your school, district, or province. So that's the 3-slide presentation that we want to see. You create, use different fonts, different colors, designs, and backgrounds, and then you save the file under the format, your name again, and then underscore question 4-2. Okay, and when you're submitting your portfolio, you will then submit together with your Word document on the other questions. You will submit this as 2 separate files attached to your Word portfolio when you submit. So as you can see, this activity is actually designed to test your application and knowledge of what you've just done. So we really want to test that you can apply the knowledge as part of this. Although it's just digital literacy, we want to see that you can actually apply the knowledge as part of this course. So colleagues, as I said, this is quite foundational, but it also gives you a good refresher as part of this. And we, as noted earlier, we opted specifically for this because we think these are the core features that you need as part of your class. It also matches and aligns to the CAPS document, for coding and robotics, so as part of the core skills that you need. But then you can also use this as a resource when you are teaching your students in your own classroom space. Just tap into it and use these as resources as part of this. So thank you very, very much, colleagues. So let me hand back to you, Patricia.
Yo, Denzel, thank you very much. That is a lot of information. Yes. And as Denzel was saying, we've just chosen some. This is not even all, but it is really important that you engage with the material, that you practice. So it's building practice hours and using different ways of combining these apps. All right, sure. Okay, so after that marathon session, thank you, Denzel. I'm very grateful we weren't interrupted by any load shedding. And now it's your time to ask us some questions. Maybe you can have some discussions. Are there any burning questions that you have? Okay, so I see there's quite a lot of activity. Safura, there's a lot of activity on the chat. Do you want to quickly go through those?
Not really. There was just 2 questions, which Denzel has answered one.
Okay.
It was a question from Megan, who wanted to know, why do we have to save these files if we are using one portfolio? So again, Denzel answered that to say that we want to know, we want to test whether you can save a file, and also it makes it easy to identify your file for which you want to use in your portfolio. That's what we usually save it, so we can identify it for use later. And then the next question was, where do I access portfolio of evidence?
Okay, so maybe Denzel can answer that question.
Yeah, I'm just a bit confused with that. Where do I access portfolio of evidence? Not part of the module 1, 2, and 3. I'm not too sure what's where to access.
Is it maybe
it's a final portfolio, Denzel?
Okay,
it could be the final portfolio, the culmination of all the.
Yeah.
Yes. So colleagues, remember, each study unit has a activity, as we said, right? So at the end of each study unit, remember the first study unit is second study unit, third study unit, you'll find a portfolio question that you complete as part of your portfolio. So for example, in the first first 2 that we've already had, 1, 2, 3, you had specific questions that were asked, which you would then collate into a Word document or PDF document. And together with whatever questions we ask at the end of this, you will then add that into a single portfolio and submit, right? But in addition to that, and that's where Megan's question comes in, we will then also be requesting you to upload the Word document that we've just asked you to develop now and the PowerPoint presentation. So you literally would have 3 files that you're submitting to us, unless you are being very creative and using some audio or videos or whatever else. So you have that flexibility to integrate as well. Is there a maximum size for the PowerPoint presentation? I think currently, Scott, is I think our system allows us up to about 20 megabytes per file. So that's quite a big size file. But what I would suggest, as I said, if you're using straightforward images, it doesn't take so much of, so just check that your resolution is not too high, but it doesn't take so much of space on the system. But the system allows up to 20 megabytes per single file that you can upload onto the platform. If you really have a very big file that you find that it's too large, then what I would suggest that you do is, for your portfolio, simply upload on Google Drive and submit the link, share the link with us so that we can access the file and grade you, but make sure the file is shareable on that link. That's also an option if you think your presentation exceeds 20 megabytes, that's allowable. Yeah, thanks, Patricia.
Okay, sure. Okay, so I think that is a comprehensive answer for the one question. Thank you very much, Denzel. I'm not sure who was first, who had their hands first up. Maybe Lorraine, you can go ahead. Hi, Lorraine. Lorraine, you can unmute yourself. Yes, go ahead.
I just want just a clarification on this portfolio again. Is it correct what I heard, that we must post 3 files, which is the Word document where we created the portfolio, convert it to PDF, and then put it to a PowerPoint presentation. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct. You've got this activity, you've got activities in the other side, right? So already you've got portfolio activities. Those portfolio activities simply ask you to write a short essay or something like that. So those are written text Word documents. So in those text-based questions where you have to write text, you can do it in a Word document or a PDF document, right? And you submit one of those. In this activity, in study unit 3, we are asking you to develop a PowerPoint. Now, obviously, you can't, you can embed a PowerPoint into your Word document, but I don't think we're teaching you that here. But in this one, all we're asking you to do is, together with the Word document that you submit, then you simply upload as well the 2 activities that we asked you here, your PowerPoint and your Word document as well. So you literally have 3 documents as part of your portfolio. But when we come towards the end of this course, the last part of the conclusion, we will go through a checklist which will show you exactly what we are expecting from you in the different formats.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome, Lorraine. You're welcome. All right. There was another hand up that I did see, and then the hand has disappeared. Would you like to put your hand up again? I think it was Halani. Yes, there we go. All right, hand is up. We'd love to hear from you. You're welcome to unmute.
Good evening. Thanks. It was me who has raised a hand.
Yes.
Actually, I wanted to rephrase my question about the portfolio of evidence. Okay. This is my first time. I hear you speaking about the study unit 1, 2, and 3, and I was not part of it, and there were assessments. I haven't done anything. So my question was, where do I access those assessments so that in order for me to be able to complete all those assessments? Because I don't have a study module or anything with me right now.
Okay, so Halani, you do need to access the MOOC content. All the content, all the teaching content for these discussions is on the UNISA MOOC portal.
All right.
Okay? And you need to go onto the MOOC portal. You need to, there's a little video in the original email that went out, kind of explaining how you register on the MOOC site, and then how you access the DBE001 MOOC on the UNISA MOOC portal.
Okay, that is our starting point.
Yes. Did you get the original invitation letter?
I got the email last week, this email, yes, I got this email. That is why I've joined this year.
Okay.
Today,
right.
Yes, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. All right, excellent.
So
and,
the MOOC is the MOOC, the MOOC portal.
Yes, it's a massive open online course, and UNISA has a MOOC portal. So there's several MOOCs on the MOOC portal. The one we are discussing in these Monday sessions is DBE001. But if you watch the little video, there's a link in that invitation letter. You will see, it'll explain to you how to get onto the MOOC site. Okay, and then you'll also find the recordings of all the previous Monday sessions.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Pleasure. All right. Lorraine, your hand is still up. Is it a high five, or have you got another question for us?
No, I think I forgot to put it down. I apologize.
No problem. Okay. All right. And then, all right. So, Halani, your hand is still up? No? All right. Yes, Nomsa. Hi. Good evening. Your hand is up. Nomsa, would you like to unmute yourself? Nomsa, your hand is up. Do you want to unmute yourself? Do you have a question for the team? Okay, maybe you'd just like to type in the text into the chat. Okay. All right. Are there any other questions? Maybe all the participants want to go and do some practicing, and so try out. Nomsa, we'll wait another minute. Do you want to unmute yourself? No. All right. Terence, yes, your hand is up. Hi, Terence.
Good evening, Doc. How are you?
I'm very well, and you?
Not too bad, man. Ma'am, just another question, and I've asked it before.
Yes.
In the Western Cape, there are quite a few schools
Yes.
who are very keen
Yes.
to get coding and robotics started. Okay, that's number one. Number two, some of the schools are in fact embarking on new curriculum, and they wish to make coding and robotics part of the curriculum for next year.
Excellent.
Okay, now comes the training again.
Yes.
At this very late stage,
Yes.
could I encourage foundation phase people to log on and to see how far they can get in terms of catching up, and whether they are interested in completing the MOOC with UNISA? And then, of course, hopefully, if they submit their portfolio, that they would get their certificate. Is that possible, Doc?
Okay, so yes, it is possible. Yes, it's possible. Oh, it's like this funny time of the year. Yes. So for there's two parts to this. These MOOCs, there's DBE001 and DBE002. So the digital literacy one is open for everybody. You can even just attend if you'd like to attend. UNISA has currently been is required to present DBE002 as least to all the schools that were identified on the pilot list. So that is just open for those 892 teachers, but the digital literacy is open for everybody. And well, hopefully once the pilot is passed, then it'll be open for everybody, the DBE002 one as well. But go for it, DBE001. You are more than welcome. And if you don't want to pressurize the teachers to do all the portfolio stuff and they just want to come and listen, they are more than welcome as well. Yes, Terence, more than welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, it's got to be a fun thing. This is very late in the year, but yes. All right. Cool. Okay. Safura, I think I just flashed a question on your side. Did you just see it?
Yes, there is a question by an intermediate and senior phase teacher who wants to know if they could also create a portfolio. I did answer them by saying that it is for foundation phase, but they can do the portfolio for their own learning.
Absolutely.
Right? And then, yes, there's another question here from Nomsa. Are we going to do PowerPoint practically? Because I heard about a portfolio. So as Denzel said, the PowerPoint is for the portfolio. You have to give it in as an activity in the portfolio. Am I right, Denzel?
That's correct. I'm just a bit confused of the word practically. Yeah, maybe she can elaborate a bit of that, but that's exactly the situation, Safura.
Yeah, I think she meant that you have to create a PowerPoint. Yes. So you have to go and do it. Yes. And then, yes, and submit it as part of the portfolio.
That's correct. That's correct. We want to test the competence that you're able to develop a portfolio, PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and it's a good time now, whilst you're practicing all the different things that Denzel has showed you as well. Just try it out. Pick a picture from Pixabay and put it onto a document, and then write something nice. And it's just a good practical. Just sit and play. Yes. Practical, just doing. Yes, the sooner the better. That'll be just great. Thank you. And be creative. Remember, there's no 100% right answer. This is your space, the space of learning. Yes. Joy. Hi, Joy. You've got your hand up. Yes.
Hi, Prof. How are you?
I'm very well. And yourself?
I'm also fine. I missed it when Prof said the 001. DBE001 and 002, yes. The pilot schools. Can Prof repeat that information for me?
Yes,
I'm kind of confused.
No, yeah. Yes, no, so there are two MOOCs. You have to finish the one to get to the other one.
Okay.
The DBE001, which we're doing now and we're discussing now, and which all the recordings are available, it is open. It's just open. And anybody can join us. The more the merrier. We need yes, that's a little bit of enthusiasm, and we can get through this. So that's open. Anybody can join. And as I was explaining to Terence, even if you want to just join to kind of go through the material and not yet submit the portfolio, that is also fine. That is really also fine. the teachers that are on the list from DBE, however, that need to complete it, need to finish the portfolio for 001 so that they can move on to 002. DBE 002. Yeah.
Okay, I get it now.
Okay. So if you're on the list and you have to do it, we're here. We are here. And and you have to do it. But we realize that there's a lot of interest otherwise, and you're more than welcome to join us.
Thank you, Prof.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks, Joy. Thank you for that question. All right. Okay. Right. I think that's it then. That's it. All right. And then there are no more questions. 2 more minutes.
Oh, yes, there's just one from Maeve. Well, she's making a kind of, she wants to know if this is correct or not. She says, while we are discussing DBE 001 and DBE 002, I need to provide feedback to our senior management team. As a pilot school, we finished DBE 001 this year. Then if we pass with 80%, we start DBE 002 next year. After completing DBE 002, we get the official CAPS, lesson plans, curriculum, etc. to implement coding and robotics in our school. So she wants to know if this is true.
Okay, I will give it my stab at an answer, and I'm looking at Denzel and maybe Sharon is also to add if necessary. So so part of the DB002 material is actually examples of lesson plans and curriculum. The curriculum itself has been published, so that's available. We're looking more to equipping you to be able to teach coding and robotics curriculum. Yes, so we will working through a process to equip you to go and teach these subjects. Sharon, have I captured everything there? Denzel, yes, I see Denzel's unmuted.
Yeah, thanks, Patricia. Yeah, so literally, you remember you got 5 strands, and we've created those lesson plans for those 5 strands, and you've got activities for those 5 strands as well. So you are 100% correct. The reason why, and remember we mentioned that in this study unit, there's 2 of the strands, application and I think e-communication. But the reasons why we never put in those lesson plans here, because we've got students, people that may not necessarily go towards the next module in coding robotics. So in the coding robotics, in the same MOOC format, you'll find a separate separate icon which has lesson plans and has lesson activities, and all the stuff that you need for those 5 strands aligned to those CAPS documents are directly on that. So as you start the coding DBE002, you will immediately have access to it. You don't have to wait for the 80 to pass it. You already have access to it as part of the course.
Yeah, that's correct, because the question was, will they only get it if they complete this course? And that is not true. They will get it.
They will get it, yes. Yes. Yes, that's correct. Joy, your hand is still up. Is it another question or just a high five? Joy? Oh, okay. Oh, yes, Joy, your hand is up. Okay. All right. Okay, yes, we're all hopping. I see we've got it. I see it just flashed up. We've got another meeting. All right, so there are no more questions. Nobody wants to unmute and have a comment or anywhere. All good. All right, so it's been a really full session. We've done a lot of material. Oh, there's one more question. Yes, you're welcome to unmute yourself. Yes.
Good evening, Prof and colleagues.
Good evening.
We'll be sounding as if we're repeating the same thing. It's the first time for me to join, and also I think the schools in the province. I'm coming from Eastern Cape, and we don't know where to start. The pilot schools together with the officials from the districts. I've heard that we need to get the access to UNISA portal, but really I don't know where to start. I must be honest.
Okay, so there was an email sent out to everybody about how to access the MOOC. Did you receive that?
No, I didn't receive it. I just received this one that I received on the 8th of November.
Okay, and is there a letter attached to it?
No, it's just the link.
Oh, just to the session?
Yes.
Okay, so then I wonder what's going to be the easiest. Okay, send code robot at unisa.ac.za. Okay, that's the email address. Code robot.
My email address?
No, send an email to this email address. All right, and then I will organize that. Somebody will then send you the invitation with the video on how to go to the MOOC portal.
Okay, that is much appreciated, Prof. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Let me take this email address.
Code robot.
Code robot
at unisa.ac.za.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. Okay. Thank you very much for asking that question. Yes. Okay. All right. No more hands up. Let me just check one more time. Oh yes. No, that's your hand. Is it your hand is still up? But I think we've answered your question. All right. So for any more questions, and we can close.
Yes, there's a question from Sipindile who says, is this course free or do we pay? So I said it is free for teachers identified for the pilot study, and the MOOC site is free for everyone.
Yes, yes. Awesome. Yes, absolutely. All right. Makalima. That's awesome. That's correct. I see. I have another hand. Makalima Mbula. Is it an old hand or is it another question?
No, I just missed this response of being a free or a paying course. I just missed that one, Prof.
It's a MOOC is free, and if you are accessing a UNISA MOOC, it's 0 rated, so you don't pay at all.
Okay, thank you.
You are very welcome. You're very welcome.
Let me lower down my end now.
Okay, then we will see each other next. Mrs. Scott, Mevrouw Scott, have you got your hand up? Yes.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly. Yes, hi.
Perfect. I'm sorry, it's quicker to just ask instead of just typing everything. Okay. I just want to make sure as to implementing the coding and robotics in our pilot school. Do we get direction from our circuit managers, or when do we actually start doing it with our actual learners at school? We're still a bit confused as to that. Will we get or do we need to finish the whole course first and then we'll start implementing? If that makes sense, what I'm asking.
It does make sense. It does make sense. I would give you my answer, but I think I need to let's just meet with DBE and just confirm that of when the pilot schools are supposed to start implementing. Can I get back to you on that one?
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Hopefully we'll have an answer by next Monday. All right.
If possible, is there something in writing that we can actually hand in? Because I'm the one who asked about giving feedback to the SMTs, because they're doing their strategic planning soon. So we need to sort of give them a time frame, more or less, that we're working at. If possible.
You know what could be? We have on the code robot, there are a number of groups created. So maybe if we can still meet with DBE before next Monday, then we will see whether we can send out a one-pager with more detailed deadlines, if that will help.
That will be perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, let's see whether we can push that agenda. Okay, so I'm just going to make a note here for our meeting. If we can get a meeting with DBE, that'll be great. Okay, awesome. Okay, Terence, your hand is up from the Western Cape. Hi, Terence.
Hi, Doc. Now, just to get some information regarding DBE and the intention of the rollout. Yes. The initial intention was that we orientate. Okay. Of course, Lisa then does the training. And then thereafter it is implementation. So next year it was supposed to be foundation phase and grade 7.
Yes.
And unfortunately, the grade 7 training is not happening.
Yeah.
So what we are saying to our schools at this stage in the Western Cape is
Okay.
that, yes, we still consider to be a hub operation.
Okay.
Where a hub is created.
Mhm.
And yes, we are going to try and implement as extracurricular at this stage, because we still haven't had finality with regard to the extra time that needs to take place for coding and robotic as a subject in the curriculum, and the time it needs for foundation phase, in this case grade R and grade 1, and then of course the grade 3 needs 2 hours extra additional time to their curriculum. So at this stage we are still encouraging our pilot schools to offer it as a hub at this stage, and we'll see how far we get next year. But that's just some information we have.
Okay, so that sounds like there's some planning already done then. Yeah. Thanks, Terence. That does help. Yeah.
You're welcome, Doc.
Okay, okay. So as long as we just keep moving forward, I think we're on the right track, but we'll get some final information. But that definitely helps, Terence. Thank you so much. Thank you. Jennifer, also from the Western Cape. My word, the Western Cape are on communication terms here. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, good evening, ma'am. I actually just wanted to lecture on to what Terence was saying. I just wanted to make things a little more clearer for Ms. Scott.
Okay.
She's in one of the Metro North schools. That's why I'm responding from the district office. But Terence has answered the question, so I think we must just await what WCED says further, and then we can move on from there. But he's covered all the bases. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Okay, so we've got a plan. So thanks, Jennifer. That also helps. Then Western Cape is kind of organized. All right, and then Almaret, also from the Western Cape.
Good evening. I can just add to what Terence and Jenny has just said. I am from the provincial office. According to DBE, they were actually expected from us to already start implementing. But we strongly felt that we cannot expose or expect from our teachers to implement before they've gone through training. So we kind of differed from them on this, but from the head office side, we are currently busy with provisioning of budget for the new financial year. This training is happening. We are, as Terence is saying, encouraging our schools to do a hub so that they integrate. But the main thing is there's a lot of uncertainties. Wow. Our schools didn't receive any resources up till now. We don't have clarity on the timetable. We even don't know if the current curriculum that is at Umalusi has been approved. So our sense is as soon as the teachers has gone through the training, then they can start some kind of coding and robotics, but we're not, if a school is already busy, like there is some of our schools that started long before this, then we encourage, go on and do a hub and integrate with your subjects what you can do. But until we, a school and our teachers feel comfortable to do, and we don't have the resources available for them, we're not expecting them to do it now. But I do foresee that once the training is done, we would expect from the schools to start with the implementation of this.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Sure. There we go. We've got a consolidated answer. Yes, I think you're touching on an important thing. We need to go one step at a time, but at least there's some planning and some awareness moving forward. All right. So really enjoy the training. I really encourage you to engage with everything Dental has presented now in this unit, and yeah, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. Absolutely. All right. Last chance. Any other questions? Any other comments? Any other feedback? We're all good. We're all good. So really engage with the material. Go and try out one of the applications. You're welcome to engage with us and tell us what's your favorite app. I really enjoy Paint because I can make pictures and draw things and add pictures to presentations, which is really fun for me. But you can engage with whatever app you like, and see where it takes you. All right. So I'm going to say from my side, thank you very much. Thank you for engaging with us, for talking and chatting and bringing up interesting conversations and asking important questions. There's a whole team here at UNISA, and we really we're inspired by the conversation and your participation here in the evening. I'm going to go last time. Denzel, any last comments?
No, Patricia, I'm good. Thank you.
You're good. All right, Sephora.
I'm fine, thank you.
Awesome. And Shoran, last comment?
Patricia, thank you so much. Colleagues, thank you so much for interacting with us. We're looking forward to a wonderful journey. Thank you, Patricia.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Have a peaceful evening. And there's 4 days left of this week. All right. Have fun. Thank you very much, everybody. Good night. Thanks, Morty.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you, team.
Bye.
Good night.
Team, thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks,
Nice. Bye.
Good night.
Bye. Bye.
Good
Bye.
night. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. All right. Thanks, Debbie. Nice to have you with us again. Thank you.
Bye, Doc.
See you soon. There we go. Okay. All right. Morty, you are going to stop. Bye-bye. Good night. Morty?